Still waters and provides green pastures where I lay. Yeah. Grace and mercy every day. Ooh, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life. Ooh, when I am all alone, to His presence I will go. In the shadows of His wings, I'll abide there. There I'll be. Oh, leads me beside. Oh, He does. Green pastures where I lay. Mercy. Oh, yes. He leads me beside still waters and provides sweet pasture where I lay. Grace and mercy every day. You lead me, Lord. You take Golden Graces, Wellness Wednesday, 1st of October in 2025. Reverend Doc D in the building, hailing from Paradise, Southern California. Mama Oceana Tierra. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Karibu. Bienvenidos. Aloha. Well, we're going to have a kids presentation today, so we're keeping it super simple. Going to do a brief overview of GreenDreams and share a little bit about the model prototype that we've put together called Green Pastures, Agrivillages, Ashrams. Mother Earth Reverence Farms is the actual mother umbrella company. She's a 508c1a nonprofit, which is a top shelf nonprofit, allows freedom and flexibility, freedom from a political standpoint, meaning we are not vulnerable to exempt status being lost by what we say. And then for Uncle Sam and Aunt Betsy, we've got some flexibility there in regards to being a nonprofit with the financials. And so we're able to have the top shelf, in other words, freedom to say what we want to say, and the financial economic flexibility to weave in and out of the United States tax system. GreenDreams is an agribusiness incubator, and we focus on indigenous, sustainable, blockchain agribusiness. That's a lot of words. Indigenous has to do with ecological, wherever you're at on the planet, wherever you're from. That's indigenous as we look at it. Sustainable is being friendly to the planet. Blockchain has to do with the economic piece, the other ecosystem, economic system. And agribusiness is agricultural businesses or enterprises. And we're uplifting primarily women and children of color on this planet. The call for Mother Earth is to sacredly inspire a continual cultivation of a planetary gold standard for 21st century indigenous sustainable blockchain agribusiness by modeling a Hempstead construction, zero waste, zero consumer debt, carbon negative, small scale organic agribusiness stewardship as self reliant, self sufficient, Commonwealth legacies. That's a lot of words, too. So there's a lot of intentionality here. I mean, everything that's on here is very much on purpose to be focused on specialty crops, industrial hemp, zero waste, have intentionality to be friendly with the planet, zero consumer debt, and that's to be friendly to yourself, carbon negative, which by design is embedded with the industrial hemp, because that's what it does, is grab the carbon, small scale, in contrast to large scale production that we have, agriculture production that's very popular, westernized view, conventional view of farming, organic, meaning we're not really interested in throwing a bunch of chemicals, synthetic chemicals that are cancer causing. So we prefer to utilize what's available via the planet, Mother Earth. Agribusiness, I've already spoken about, and then stewardship, meaning the covenant that we have as human beings, upright, two-legged, earthling, Homo sapien human beings, in being in covenant with all other beings on this planet. And we're encouraging, ennobling self-reliant self-sufficiency for folks to grow your own food, learn how to feed yourself, and then economically creating a legacy for yourself, your children, and your grandchildren, the coming generations. That's what that's about. So we're going to start with the soil food web, and this is very brief in sharing that awareness of what some people call the internet, the soil internet, the earth's internet, below the dirt or in the dirt, that there are systems. They're called trophic systems, TROPHO, feeding systems, nutrient systems by which nutrients are shared. And when the soil is disrupted by tilling, the web, the internet has to reconstitute itself. There are nematodes, protists, all these other levels of beings, arthropods, which do tend to be predatory, they'll say. That's the language, the ecological language. Fungi, bacteria, and everyone works in concert together. And you see the plant, the nutrients are exchanged and assist with the root development, such that the root system itself can obtain nutrients and water Water, water, water. This is so very significant, especially in areas that are prone to drought. And the other aspect of this that I like to emphasize is when we are doing soil analyses, that we look at the bioavailability of the soil. Usually, when you send your soil in for analysis, you're looking at the various elements, like the periodic table elements: phosphorus, calcium, nitrogen, these various elements. Yes? So you can come back and have, let's just say, a perfect analysis. But we also want to look for the bioavailability. What is actually living in the soil? Or is the soil dead? And so most farming, food production has to do with fertilizers. And we see how they distribute the fertilizer, or first how they capture it. It's usually from animal production systems: chickens, pigs, cows. It gets scooped up with dump trucks. And then those dump trucks go and dump it on top of the soil. And it's all clumped up. It's not really spreadable. And that's how we're raising our food. Well, no wonder we are having coliform uh, disease being spread, salmonella on your lettuce, because the feces is being just dumped on top of the soil. No, that does not work. Anyway, I won't get much into that. I just wanted to emphasize how we're doing things today. So my colleague, who is a agronomist, tree person, has some of the best products out there. I probably need to insert their slide here. Soil secrets. Low till or no till. That's what we need to be doing. And we can get more into that at another module webinar as to how we handle soil, how we rehabilitate soil, how we mitigate various soils. And industrial hemp can be very much a part of that as a specialty crop. So we're going to do a little dive here into Mother Earth Reverence Farms and Ministries. I've already mentioned she's a 508 nonprofit, and she has 3 daughters. One daughter is Wellness Mobile Veterinary Clinic. Second daughter is Global Love Triumphant Ministries. May I put their birth dates? The clinics was born in 2004. The ministries was born in 2014. And Sustainable Hemp Hall, that's a good, I'd have to think back when she was created. It's in the teens, 2015, 14, 15. And then from the clinic side, we have One Wellness, which is very new. We're actually in a launching phase at the moment. That's for human being wellness and then overall wellness, community wellness. Womanist Productions is in process to be launched here shortly. She comes out of Global Love, and she is the publishing arm of Mother Earth Reverence Farms. And then she has also the granddaughter coming out of Sustainable Hemp Hall Enterprises is Green Pastures, Agrivillages, Ashram. She's the model prototype that she was birthed quite early. And I think sustainable hemp all came afterwards. We needed a place for her to live. Yeah, she's a model prototype, the green pastures. So we can get into this indigenous piece. It refers to originating or occurring naturally in a particular place. It's native of the people who inhabit or existed in that land from the earliest times or from before the arrival of colonistic imperialists, before economic commodification, before slavery, in other words. The BCs, before colonization. And at this time, we have various platforms when you come into GreenDreams that we want to prepare your agribusiness for. And that has to do with decentralized blockchain platforms and technologies. One is Rain B&B. She's the starter. And they focus on a digital asset called OP B&B. And the icon is right there in the middle. And I've got some imagery of what I would call Shah women, the indigenous women who carry the torch from ancestors. I don't know why it's doing that. Pardon. Now we'll dig a little deep on the sustainability piece, which has to do with stewardship. I've mentioned this a little bit. Sustainability, being eco-friendly with Mother Earth, able to maintain at a certain rate or level the ability to be upheld or defended. Being sustainable. There's one part of it that means being friendly to the earth, but you have to maintain it over a period of time. It has to be maintained at a certain level over a period of time. It's not just for today. And then it has to be upheld in a way that over time it won't fall apart. And if necessary, defended. Sustainable agriculture refers to an approach of farming that focuses on producing in a manner that is environmentally sound, economically viable, and socially responsible. There's a long-term legacy of productivity methods that we employ. So intentionally, it's generational. Intentionally, we have environmental stewardship. This is in contrast to what Western Christianity has been talking about, domination. Now, that's a misrepresentation of the words. We are to be in stewardship. And then there's the economic viability. This is very important as well, because you want to plan for long term. You want to plan for short, medium, and long term viability. And of course, we want to be socially responsible. And this has so many levels to it. In and of itself, that's a module, because everyone plays different roles. When you're a woman, you're a wife often. You're a sister. You're a daughter. So we're engaging in various ways. We have an intersectionality, if you will, of how we engage with one another in our family, in our faith traditions, in whatever our quote career is. And so we want to be responsible with all these levels, being people of integrity. Yes, I don't want to get preachy on that, but I do like to share the photo. This is industrial hemp here on the right. Industrial hemp, cannabis. Cannabis is probably one of the most benevolent plants, if not the most benevolent plant on this planet, that for various reasons she has been treated with such dishonor. But certainly we must bring her back into the fore when it comes to sustainability. I really don't think we can have sustainability without her, because she can pretty much do everything. You can eat hemp, cannabis. You can eat it. You can make medicine from it. You can make clothing from it. You can make plastics. They call them bioplastics. I prefer to say biopolymers because plastics usually infers or connotes petrochemicals. So we don't want to use any of that languaging. You can make clothes out of it. In Germany, they're making car parts. In construction, we're using it to make building materials because of its various attributes and characteristics, being resistant to termites, resistant to fire, resistance to mold. It's just look into it, you'll be fascinated. And then on the middle, lower level of this slide, aquaponics, we have selected 5 animal production systems by which are accessible. And when I say accessible in a general sense, economically, physically, and we're keeping in mind the overall premise that we are founding GreenDreams is for women and children of color on this planet. So it's got to be, in a way, keep it super simple and accessible. So a child can learn how to do this, in other words. So we have aquaponics is the number one efficient, effective, excellent way to grow one's protein, clean protein, because you're the one feeding it. And then you can grow your microgreens for nutrient dense greens. And so you can feed yourself and your family. And if you want to make an enterprise of it, certainly you can. Okay, this is a very full slide, but we do ennoble you to become really in a learning phase, become a student of decentralized blockchain technology. And so I'm not going to get into the weeds of it here with this slide, but just know that there's no central authority. Basically, you become your own bank. And preparing people to be your own bank is a mindset, because you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable for yourself, because you can't go and complain to anyone. If you're going to complain to anyone, you need to bring the mirror out. And in regards to your finances, your economics, your home economics, blockchain technology is a tool. It's basically a digital distributed open ledger, immutable ledger that records transactions across a network of computers. It's really it's an evolution of computerization, and there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just more digitization of what we do and how we engage. It's a technology that has applications in all market sectors. And right now, the most popular market sector has to do with economics, banking, but it has applications in other markets. It's just because of the money game that it's got so much popularity, especially with Bitcoin. So decentralization means there's no single entity. There's no bank. There's no government that has complete control over the financial ecosystem or the financial economic system. The control and the decision making is distributed among the participants in the network. In other words, it's a democratization. It's really consensus about the participants because we all are participating, those of us who are in it. But it also means that you have your own bank. So people that have their own bank are participating in an ecosystem that is computerized, where all the computers and transactions that are taking place have to be in agreement. It's called a blockchain. If it doesn't go through, then it doesn't go through with one of those computers. It's called mining. And so the transaction will fail. The beauty of it is that it's an open ledger. So once it does go through, if you don't have everything lined up, deposit, address, these types of things, then you may lose your funds. So you really do have to be careful in entering this market sector. I think that's enough for now. Yeah. Agribusiness, we mentioned that a little bit. Small scale organic, non GMO, zero waste, zero consumer debt, heirloom, heirloom seed banking. It's not really a production system. It's just saying you need to hold on to some of your seed. The seed, the heirloom seed, the indigenous seed, the native seed of wherever you're from, your various varieties of vegetables, of green vegetables, of fruit trees, these things. And eventually you'll want to have, as a community, some sort of verification, which can be done through blockchain technology, that particular seed comes from that particular or your particular ecosystem. Because we have governments and companies that basically want to commodify heirloom seeds all over the planet and put a price on it, and then you will have to pay for your own seed that you grew up with. Yeah, so it is bizarre, but it is something at this time. We are very much aware of this behavior and activity, and that's why we are supporting seed banking. Yeah. And of course, specialty crops, I've already mentioned. Industrial hemp, also, like any of the medicinal plants like lavender, eucalyptus, clove. So we do have, again, a stewardship practice of food production, small scale food production. that is thinking short, medium, and long term, future generations without causing harm to the planet. Environmentally, we want to hold on to our natural resources. Water is the most precious, and be recognizing and responsible and honor all beings in stewardship. And so we're integrating a holistic, comprehensive, indigenous, ancient way, including the economic integrity, being mindful of the commonwealth and social equity, in recognizing we're all part of an interdependent web of ecosystems of which we are interconnected. I hope that's making sense to you. So we're back to the beginning. I just want to say thank you. We are kissing on you. Kisses, keeping it super simple, educational, and maybe a little bit silly. And we just want to give thanks and praise to the Creator. May we continue to be guided, gifted, and governed by one spirit, one love, one wellness. May it be so. And so it is. Ashe, Amin, Om Shanti, Amen.